Welcome everyone. Good morning, and it's for me still. It's still basically noon right now. It just did not get up too long ago, but for you, if you're watching from Asia, then you are having it a bit later already. And I'm hopefully very stoked for the games that we are going to see today. As you may know, this is the BLITZ Ultimate Cup. We're now heading into the top 4 stage here for the Asian server. And we are going to see, on the first game you will see P1 versus RISQ on this channel here. After that we're still going to see the finals here of the winners of ID versus Rotenova, German name actually, RN, and yeah, that's the plan for today here. Let me just do a quick check. Everything seems to be working. I can just quickly show you what we're up to here. We are going to see P1 versus RISQ here on the first game. At the same time, ID and RN are playing against each other. The winners of these games will then fight each other in the upper bracket. Then there is still one more day tomorrow where the lower bracket will also play against each other. Do we maybe have a picture here of the... No, I don't have one ready. The winner of the lower bracket will head into the grand final, and the winner of today's upper bracket will head into the grand final. In the lower bracket then there will be the losing team of the lower upper bracket loser, of course. And the others are also, the losers of the first game are also going to fight each other in the lower bracket. So okay, that's what we're up to. I hope I didn't mess up too much, because for one it's early, for two it's just quite a lot of stuff here for yeah, it's just, I'm a little bit nervous, I've got to say. If I'm absolutely honest, I'm a little bit nervous to just be able to stream here for the grand finals, or not the grand finals yet, but the top 4 stage now again. Asia server, it's not the first time I've streamed a couple of Asian tournaments already, but not too many, I've got to say. But yeah, now mostly I'm just playing on EU server. That's where my home is. I hope I can still keep up with the Asian activities here. So welcome to everyone who might have just joined in and who's currently watching. We still have a few more minutes until the room invite is in. I somehow still have to get that. I do have my Asian account ready up here. An account that currently doesn't have any games really. But I just had to create this account. I hope I don't have any... Like when playing, the ping is not too great, but last time it was working out with a ping. Yeah. When spectating, that is no issue at all. So maybe for last, let's just quickly still share the stream on Discord. Although, yeah, everyone has the stream already from the portal, but I also want to share it on my own Discord server still. By the way, guys, there is also the link to my own Discord server in the description down below if you are interested in joining that one and want to stay up to date with all my usual content, which is normally happening on Twitch, apart from just videos here on YouTube and tournament streams, of course. So let me just quickly put that up, just so my subs and moderators, especially those, are also here. And by the way, I would love it if you were trying to keep it in English on the chat. I know a lot of people are not able to speak English, it's alright. We won't just ban you guys. But if you can't, just try to speak English so that everyone's able to understand you. Especially moderators and yeah, everyone. Would be a great thing. We already have the room invite. We still have to wait 1 minute before I can show you the teams and lineups here. And I'm really stoked for this. I absolutely am. This is going to be some very interesting stuff also to just see now how the servers compare to each other. Unfortunately, I was away for the weekend and I could not watch NA yet, but I will definitely still do so. Well, I think I can now also head over to the tournament room here. Just in a few seconds, because I have to wait for the 3-minute mark, as I'm just having a 3-minute delay only. And let's jump over. So we've got P1 rolling up with a lot of Type 71s, double VK 72, double IS4. A very, very solid lineup here. Lots of hit points also for them with the IS4s and also the VK 72s. Not having the mobility, so if RISQ is deciding to go for a light tank, which they seem to not be doing, they would be able to just drop into that C-cap straight away. Otherwise, there is no one fast enough to counter that. But right now, RISQ is just choosing a very similar lineup in terms of mobility, going for double IS4 as well, going for double Type 71, a 60TP, a mouse, and a Kranwagen. We're not seeing the mouse all too often in the current tournament, but it's still a very nice tank, very, very healthy tank in terms of hit points from the start on, and just not that easy to penetrate. 60 TP with the tanks and shells, having some good DPM with a big alpha damage for short time. Kranwagen having that burst of the auto reloader, yet not having a lot of DPM there. So it's always a little bit tricky to take that one. I'm interested to see what they have in mind with that. Kranwagen probably about to head towards the middle of the map, as that's the best hold-down position for him. Or maybe he's just going to camp in spawn to overlook base A on the usual TD position, while the rest of the team is just making their way towards base C. But with this kind of very heavy lineup, it's more likely to just be a fight for the city side here. These teams might just both clash onto each other on the A side here. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to work out. Mayan Ruins, by the way. I did not really say that yet. It is the old Ruins map here that we are seeing on this game. And we are just about to start in another 40 seconds. Into our first game of the day. Well, by the way, guys, if you have a favorite for the tournament here, then don't hesitate to put your favorite into the chat and just tell the world who you are here for. That will be nice to just see some support for those guys here that are about to play in just a few seconds. Let me take a sip of coffee still. And there we go. Game number 1. And what are we going to see on this game here? Both teams Heading so far towards the city, but it might be the case here that RISQ is just splitting up a bit more. Oh, I should have practiced saying these names here. Sugu and Mugu. Ah, okay, okay. Got it. P1 heading straight towards base A. Are they going to just jump into the cap? They are currently here in the bush, just overlooking that area. Getting spotted though. Not really wanting to go forwards, but over there we do have Sugu and Mugu just dropping into that C cap. Still on a disadvantage, as Milkshake here just dared to move forwards. Took a few shots. He will be trapped there though, that's a big issue for him. Milkshake lost 2 shots worth of hit points. Managed to get the A cap first, so that's a good thing for him. But he is now a huge weak spot here for P1. If they decided to just counter push base A, they would easily get the kill. Although RISQ is a little bit split still. And P1 does have everyone here. P1 does have 7 tanks available, or 6 tanks available to cover Milkshake. Apart from the VK-72 in the back here, that might be a little bit slow to move up. But RISQ, as we know, does have Bifrost in the middle to cover the B cap. And also Sugu over here flanking around. Sugu potentially going for a bait that might be crucial here. Just going to deliver some crossfire. Going to be the nasty sting in the back here for the P1 team. As they did get the spot here. Sugu trying to put out a shot into the back of the VK, failing to do so. But now does have some good crossfire, but the question is, what is P1 going to do about it? P1 is not able to cover the B cap anymore. Actually, Bifrost just dropped into the B cap, and there will be the VK with a huge shot into Bifrost here, who just took way too much damage. P1 here with 4 tanks available to cover the B cap, bleeding out RISQ. And the mouse is now getting aggressive here in the middle. And there goes the IS-4. Bifrost just being out of the fight already. But here we do still have the mouse and the IS-4 trying to hold this position. AFK just flanking around, not going for someone else. Just getting to the back of the mouse. And is the mouse in focus? As the VK-72 is also dropping in. Being set on fire though. Failing to put his shot in. There comes the next VK. Focused on the mouse right now. Meanwhile, RISQ gain control of the A side here. Did not take the base though, as they are trying to fight for the kills because they're down 1 tank. They have also managed to get 1 kill, but are now about to focus the very healthy IS-4 over here. And potentially Sugu and Mugu will have the IS-4, but he's bouncing the shot here. Kill shot on the IS-4, very important one. Hit points are highly in favor of P1 right now, but the kills are just even at the moment again. But F Silver is not going to survive this. There he goes, out of the fight. And it is Smet Potato now on focus, who's potentially still getting the kill of Pixels. He does get the kill still. I've seen a lot of 60 TPs bouncing the front of Type 71s, but Smurt does put a shot in safely. And the guns being even still. And there comes Sugu from the behind. Kranwagen does still have 1 shot, and there's another kill of ex-AFK. But also Smurt is not going to survive here. We just failing to shield here potentially. He's rather getting out of the middle to reload his clip. As the VK-72 is also pushing in. And Sugu has to be careful to not be too close here. It's definitely still possible for the RISQ team to win this. And they get another kill here. They were down a ton of hit points. But now they managed to turn this around. Awesome gameplay here by them. And the VK rolls for 472 only. With a heat into the Type. So Type is just going to circle him here. And the Kran just sitting in the base now. Taking the capstone. Probably the best call, as they were just about to be down on a caps here. With the kill of the Type 71, so there was some big brain move by that Kranwagen. And now we've got the VK here just basically without any chance. Trying to put out a big shot, hoping for, I don't know what, the Namorek. Bouncing though. Well played here. And we could clearly see the map control that RISQ decided to go for was really paying out here. VK72 on top here with a lot of damage. With a big alpha was good call for them, but did not really get into the fight where it was needed potentially. But let's not just blame anyone here. Bifrost going down with 0 damage actually, and the rest of the RISQ team here carrying him through. Bifrost was the bait in the B cap. The low DPM Kranwagen was farming the most. Interesting. So let's get back to the room here. That's the first win to Vengeance. RISQ in a best of 7, by the way. So we are still going to see a lot of games. And don't worry, it won't be over too quickly. It is with a best of 7. It means 4 wins are needed to win it. That means potentially 7 games, a minimum of 4. But this was a fairly close game. I like to see that. No steamroll game here, so it might still go absolutely anywhere. Just please no 4-0. And we're about to head into the next game in just about 15 seconds. Same map. This time P1 is going for quadruple Kranwagen, 1-100 LT, double Type 71. On the other side we have RISQ with a Sheridan, AMX M4, double Kranwagen, triple Type 71. Interesting Kranwagen spam here on this match now. And let's head up. Sheridan will have a huge advantage for the starter. See, it's just a little bit faster than 200. He does have the option of outspotting him and out-trading him with a big shot potentially. But they are pretty much in the middle at the same time and did not manage to collect any information, which they actually wanted to do so here. And now the Sheridan will be a disadvantage because it did not manage to put out early damage. It does not have the DPM and armor of the T100, and RISQ is going aggressive here in the middle, just pushing over, ignoring the T100 to the side, who's currently running away. And look at this push here by RISQ, just pushing in straight away into those Kranwagens. Pickford's in focus here. But Shugu is filing to put out a kill shot, getting blocked by Milkshake. Awesome shielding here. And Shugu now also just struggling with his hit points as the first one's out of the fight. It is ST-127. The Kranwagen now about to get killed by Wu, potentially still getting out a second shot. No, it's actually not possible for him anymore. RISQ with a super aggressive play. Now the T100 against the Sheridan in a fight over here. But that's going to be a little bit of an issue here, as Sheridan does not have the DPM available and does not have the option of pushing into that LT. But he is getting support by Juicy on the Kranwagen. And the Sheridan with the mobility does manage to just circle around the rock here, avoiding that LT. And is doing a great job here. Bifrost also going down, as Polter Group and Nitroglycerine are just pushing on to him. 3v3 right now. Hit points, surprisingly, still pretty much even, as AFK is chasing that Sheridan, but potentially getting shot down quite a bit for doing so. And he has to wait for his teammates still. So AFK dropping back now, getting tracked. We will have the kill. Probably just not being good at pronouncing that name. AFK still putting out another one as Nitro is just pushing in to punish Wui. Sheridan still managed to get away over there. Nitro was just looking for him for a moment. And it is a gun advantage to P1 again, but there are 2 one-shots for them on the field, and Juicy is still pretty healthy here. There goes a Sheridan, an absolutely huge kill here for P1. That might have sealed the deal now, because Juicy with an empty clip will not be able to kill Nitro anymore, as he also did not get the kill shot into Polter Group. And also that Kranwagen here still being alive, that's just... Wow. 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 This was unpredictable, really. RISQ with a super aggressive play, risking a little bit too much, maybe. Just a bit too much here, as they were just YOLOing in. And just running into the crossfire here. It almost worked out, though. They were even on the guns, they were even on the hit points. But what went wrong then? I cannot say right now. I think it was just a lot about the focus fire, getting the kill shots out of the fight. And just managing to get into the better positions. Surprisingly, P1 did manage to just keep up with their low DPM Kranwagens. Maybe a good thing there with the Krans that they were pressured away from the fight a little bit, which allowed them to just reload their clips again. Then they pushed into the middle with a couple of Krans with full clips, just quickly turned things around there. As you remember, that Kranwagen AFK chasing the Sheridan, just pushing over the middle alone, still having 2 more teammates behind him, then following up and just punishing the RISQ team as they were trying to get the kill of the AFK guy. Well, that was it for Mayan Ruins. It is 1-1 right now, and we are switching the map to Canal, a very large map that is often being played with a lot of mediums or light tanks. In this case, it is double LT for each team here. Again, an IS-4, only one IS-4 this time for P1, double Kranwagen, and double Type 71. For RISQ, we do have double Type or triple Type Kranwagen and a 60TP also. So let's see what they are doing with that. And we are in the game. Let's head up and see what's going on. 2 100s here, just deciding to split up a bit. It will be Golira here heading into that C-cap potentially, or is he just going to spot the side? Ooh, I don't know when I've ever seen that climb. Interesting, but is it worth it? Does it actually offer spots of the bush over here potentially? That was probably the idea here. Look at F Silver here getting blind shot. Is he trying to cover that C-cap? It is a cap disadvantage. 2P1 Polter Group still spotted here by that LT, being focused. Was a good opening for RISQ. I was just sadly not able to cover that on the camera here. P1 just managed to get base D. There is still the bait in the back here. Bifrost potentially holding up the entirety of P1. He is just in a very important position there. As long as he manages to keep up the spots and manages to stay alive. The thing is, it would cost P1 a lot to get him. Look at all of RISQ just being lined up there. If P1 is pushing up here, all those guys will have shots. But at the same time, Bifrost is just delivering a lot of map control here. Because usually a team would just get deep into the spawn here to push onto B from multiple different angles then. But P1 currently not able to do so. The Kranwagens in the river here, or in a canal it is actually, just not being in the best positions here. They get surprised by Bifrost over there, who is currently just struggling to cover too nicely. He's just getting shot by the T-100s. And everyone else over there, he is really just struggling with this position. But the Krans, if they decide to push up, they will have the type and the T-100 right in their back, able to just farm them down. So those Krans here in that position are just completely useless. They cannot move up to anywhere. They can't move up to the B cap. They can't move up to the spawn site here. They would just have a ton of tanks behind them. And it is RISQ though, pushing into the Krans here right as P1 gave up supporting them. And Pixis is going down already. Nitro now in focus as he's low on DPM. And the rest of RISQ has to be careful to not just all drop into the canal, because they would give up all the good positions, as P1 is currently just flanking round, taking the cap control again. But at 800 points, it will not be enough to capture base A. They would have to get a lot of kills, and they're down 2 tanks now. Now the RISQ is going to counter this by just taking base D again. Well, and now P1 is on the A side, RISQ is on the D side, and P1 is down 2 tanks. And down 5,000 hit points, which is definitely mentionable here. Even though they are trying to stop the B cap, it's not going to be enough for them here. They would have to go for the kills, and they are absolutely not able to do so anymore. Filter group still trying to push into the side here. But that's just not really painful. This one shot, he's just offering a big weak spot here. Being low on hit points, but not having any chance anymore. 980 points for RISQ. And they will probably be... No, they are winning before the kill, as Wu is still trying to push onto that type here. And that relocation towards the A side of P1 absolutely not working out here. So they just completely left their Kranwagens in a totally isolated position there. The plan that they had in mind of just pushing to 2 sides simultaneously was just running into the bait of the Bifrost Type 71 over here. And that was a bit of a fail here for P1. They had absolutely no chance on this game. The Krans would have to just get out of there again, but they probably were afraid of just getting shot down again and just losing way too many hit points. They should have probably not been there in the first place. It was really problematic for them to be there, as they could not go anywhere anymore without getting shot. Potentially they just had the information about Bifrost and a type bait way too late. But of course it was well hidden, so that's what a bait is there for. We're going to see Canal once more. This time different spawns though. P1 on a green spawn now. I would say the green spawn is actually a little bit better, because it just offers you more cover on the A side. The D side is very similar there in terms of cover and hills that you have. But on A you do have more houses to cover and move up towards base A safely. Lineups changed a little bit. We are seeing an E6 now for the first time. And we're only seeing 1 LT on the team of RISQ. Lots of Type 71s. 160 TP for RISQ also. P1 deciding to go for the E6. Potentially E6 is just heading towards base A. By the way, E6 has almost the camo value of a medium or light tank. It is quite insane. But you're seeing this. E6 just staying unspotted here. Type 71 getting crossfire for 1400 damage already. Bolter Group will be able to just safely drop over here into that A cap. B is being taken. But look at the hit points lost here for P1. RISQ so far full life with everyone still. And there go the first shots into the Type 71s here. Bifrost and Sugar potentially offering a rig spot for the P1 team to push onto. They will have to be careful. But P1 seems to not be in position to do so just yet, as Smurt is also dropping down here to support. And RISQ is just pulling towards base B from multiple different angles here. They do have the hit point advantage and are now pushing onto Pixels here. Pixels in focus fire. We're just dropping right behind, but also losing a ton of hit points and going down first actually. Guns being even still. Hit point gap just closed a little bit, but Kranwagen now low on DPM, empty on the clip. Shogu potentially not going down anymore now. He's also out of the fight. And RISQ gained the huge hit point advantage again. Also Nitro is in very heavy crossfire here by 3 tanks. Not going to survive this. How's P1 doing on the other side here? Bifrost now the only one in an isolated position here that they could potentially kill. But they are struggling with it. They're really struggling here. P1 just having half of the hit points of the RISQ team right now. Losing a ton of hit points early on. And just being a bit more split up than the RISQ team. Absolutely huge play here by RISQ. Super aggressive, immediate use of their advantage. Really love to see that. Well, P1, if you just took 2 E6, it's an uncommon tank, but you could see that E6 camo value is just really being great in this game. Just completely remaining unspotted. Right now it's just farming down attack, so nothing happening here anymore. P1 has no chance. Gallery are still trying to get the kill of F Silver. But there he goes. Well, a strong opening here by that RISQ team. Also, because we could see that advantage here of the A side that P1 actually had. They had the houses to cover that I mentioned earlier. But the RISQ team decided to just push straight through the middle to make sure they would get all the spots that they needed to just crossfire. And they did so. They did get the cross shots in here. Was absolutely huge and was really well played here by them. P1 having 1 tank. It was the type here that got focused down first. 0 damage. Also there's one shot type on the other side actually. And we are switching maps again. It is now match point to RISQ here. They have 3 wins already. P1 struggling a little bit more on the last games here. And RISQ just showing some awesome performance here with some very aggressive games. And the next one is about to be on Yukon, a fairly new map. The green spawn here played by P1 does have a slight advantage actually, as the medium side is covered a little bit better. Sometimes there are these small differences to the maps, but they don't decide over the outcome all too often. And we're seeing double IS4, double 60p, triple type for P1, VK mouse and type 71s, 60TP I think, for RISQ. No, it was no 60TP. Okay, E5 it was. And a VK72. And a mouse. I don't know which one I also which one I already called out here. But let's just get into the game. It looks like this was rather a game for the heavy side here, fighting for the caps. The D side offers some great map control, but it does not offer any cap advantage. But leaving that one open and trying to push over here will also not lead to a cap advantage, as RISQ can just take base C and D safely right now. Mouse here just pushing through the middle. Not going in just yet, but I don't think he is going to wait for too much longer here. He doesn't have to. He could just be a nice bait into the back here if the mouse just pushed behind with a E5, but actually they don't have to. They have double caps against one right now. A uncontested right now. First shots being traded here. B1 rotated out of B just to rotate towards base A here. But if that's going to win them the game, Juicy potentially a little bit isolated here. He's still covered by Silver, but just capturing base A is not going to gain P1 anything. So they are just wisely ignoring the cap and going for the push here onto Juicy. Double shot into him, exactly rolling 800. There's 3 tanks now onto Juicy, 2 bounces. Milkshake putting a shot in as he is just dropping into cover. Sticky and Silver being right behind, but also Polter Group. And the other IS-4 being right behind the crossfire, and there goes Juicy already. Out of the fight he is. And RISQ also getting more aggressive over here. But who are they pushing onto? Are they going to counter push Milkshake? They don't really have the tanks available to do so. They're trying to crossfire here, not really having any option to push onto right now. The VK72 also down on hit points, Sticky down on hit points. It will be really problematic here for RISQ to counter push this. They can really not do so anymore. And P1 is now making use of their advantage by pushing into Sticky, bouncing the shot off. But it is the VK now about to go down very likely. It's a little bit of a low roll here, I guess. 10 hit points left on that VK still. But there he goes. Mouse also now in focus. Not going to survive this for too much longer. And it is still Sticky alive over here. And so is Silver in the back in the Type 71. And P1 did an awesome job here on this game. Counter pushing or pushing base A. Finding that isolated tank there was absolutely perfect to ignore that A-cap. And RISQ not being careful enough about their positioning. Could have potentially avoided that a little bit by just not having that one type that aggressive there. They had a lot of map control, a lot of cap control. And gave away one little weak spot that was just slightly too aggressive. P1 just found that option, made use of it to the best way they could. Absolutely awesome. I don't know how the E5 did also die without any damage. He was just in the back of the P1 team, it seemed. But really nice move here by P1. And that means they are just 2 wins away from the win still. It is still match point to RISQ. They are only in need of 1 more win. But it is a bit closer again. We are seeing some more options for P1 to win this now. Again, Yukon. Different spawns now. Let's see how this one's going to work out. Double E6 for P1. I love this tank. But in tournaments, taking such a specific tank often just gives away your intention and your plans that you have in mind. So the P1 team might just very well head towards base D at the start. And RISQ if they are aware of that, they could decide to just take the heavy caps and go for triple caps right away. Or maybe 2 caps A and B. If they decide to ignore the E6 on the medium side there. Also 1-100. So it is a fairly light lineup here for P1. They will not have a lot of hit points. The E6s also don't have many hit points. On the other side, we do have triple crowns, double E5. Might also go for the mat side. We will see. But maybe RISQ is deciding to just immediately counter the lineup by going for the heavy side and taking the bases. With the hit points that they will have, they could probably just sit it out on the caps, use the Kranwagens to cover the bases then. But maybe they're having something else in mind. Nope. RISQ is heading towards the caps here. Speed boost being pulled off. Silver spotting the middle area. He has to be careful to not get pushed onto here. And P1 is taking control of the mat side. They are not able to take base C here. The 2-100 could have potentially taken it, but it would be a huge risk of just getting countered like that. So it's the B cap for RISQ already. Just see the hit point difference. Minus a 1 shot right now. It was about 1k. So they are on to A and B right now. As P1 is only getting base D. And the E6 is in huge positions there to cover the D cap. But that is just not needed as RISQ decided to counter the strategy by just completely ignoring the medium side here. And now it is double cap against 1. Time is running against P1. The question is what they are going to do about it. They don't have too much of a hit point deficit anymore. Just 200 hit points, so that's basically nothing. They could maybe go in for a push. The Kranwagens though, with their clipping potential, super dangerous to push into. So it will have to be some very clever push here from P1. And look at the RISQ team, just all being close together, not really giving away any weak spots apart from F Silver, who is very isolated in the back. He is hull down over there, but still maybe a little bit too isolated. He is spotting quite a bit here. But AFK now dropping into the bush potentially, getting the spot in. The Krans here waiting, look at those guys. With a full clip waiting for the spots of F Silver, who now got the spot of AFK. P1 still not really moving. They are having the spot of Silver now. They can expect him to be covered. So they are actually doing a wise move here of just rotating back. They are not going for the push of F Silver. Actually, they could just think of it like this. F Silver being a bait. They don't know it, of course. They don't see what I see here or what you see. They could decide to counter push the other side. Playing the mind game. SG has to be careful to not get spotted, but he does get spotted. Does get shot as well. It will be a two-sided push, actually. E6 is now in the middle here, unspotted. And there comes a push onto Silver. AFK going first, Pixels right behind, Kranwagen putting out a few shots. But now Pixels and AFK will have the kill very soon, although they are getting crossfired. Still, an AFK is down to a 1 shot and it's being taken out here. And Nitro is also struggling here. Wui is still having a full clip. Huge hit point advantage to RISQ, but now the E6s are pushing in, the Krans being low on their DPM. It might still go anywhere. P1 has to be super good with their focus fire and will have to put out the maximum DPM available. Although they are down 3 tanks, only managed to get the 2nd kill by now. F Silver back there, still alive. And it is a fight for the B cap right now. The Kran in focus, the E6 in focus. Has to drop back here. But the E6 is not having any armor, being easy penetrations with AP. Having good DPM, but the E5 now with a reactive armor. Just shielding his teammate, shooting down at E6, and Smurt will get the kill in just a second. And P1 will struggle with the cap points as well, just as they are struggling with the hit points. Over there we still have a 1v1 of the T100 LT versus Sticky in his Type 71. If the LT is able to get into side hack, he might be able to survive this, but it doesn't look like it. Sticky getting the kill shot now, and that probably just sealed the deal because of the caps. But looking at the hit points, it is a win to Risk anyways. So Risk now with a 4th win here. Well played. Really well played. So Risk is through here, having the first win in the top 4 tournament. Really lovely games. Love the tension till the end here. That's what I like to see in a tournament. No steamrolls. Yeah, good damage spread as always. I know a lot of people want to just see that kind of damage on a team result. I really don't think it matters a lot. Yeah, usually it's just on a tournament you do have one guy getting focused first, being a bait, and then the rest is moving up. Okay. That was our first game. So, we do have a bit of time to bridge now, so let me see actually. I can just quickly have a look at the chart here, whether we do have more results already from the other game. Ah, he did. I do actually see the bracket. Oh, wrong scene. Yep. That weird camera bug. Gotta turn it off and on again when switching to this scene only. Well, we do have no result of ID versus RN just yet, so they are actually on a tiebreaker right now still. It's probably over right now with a delay. So we do have in the lower bracket P1 already. Risk just getting through here to the upper bracket, which we're also about to see next here. And then, oh wait, let me just have a quick look. Am I actually, which one am I going to see? I only see that I'm about to stream Risk. If I'm streaming Risk, then... Oh wait, I had the information somewhere. I'm not 100% sure whether I'm going to see the lower bracket semi-finals or the upper bracket finals now. I think the upper bracket finals, but I don't know. Okay, we're actually going to see everything here on today's games. Alright. First, the upper bracket that we've just seen, then lower bracket rounds, and then the upper bracket finals today. Lower bracket finals and grand finals tomorrow then. Okay, got it now. So let me show you again. This is where we are right now. Let's just refresh the page. Maybe we do have the results yet. Do we? No, we don't. Okay. So we are going to see P1 versus either ID or RN on the next game. And afterwards we're going to see the upper bracket finals. And as you can see, P1 definitely still has a chance now. They are just now on the last life, basically. They just have to win the next game to get into the lower bracket final over here then, where they will meet the losing team of this upper bracket final. But then the winner of this one and this one will meet in the grand finals. That's a good thing about this kind of tournament system, that everyone still has a second chance, because you might always lose some game due to bad luck or just having a bad moment, and we want to see who's going to be the best here of the Asian server. So it's a really lovely system to just have that kind of option of just dropping down into the lower bracket and still getting into the grand finals later on. I will probably also see the time here. Schedule, no. Wait, we don't have the... okay, start time. Oh, well, we do have half an hour. Okay. And then 21:20, so that will be 1:20 for me. No, not 1:20, 2:20. There's the next game, the last game then. Okay. Yeah, so we do have some time now. Yep. Let me just check the results again. I will just go for some analysis of the last games then. I don't need to play random games now. Not that interesting. As I don't want to just switch my account. I only have a tier 1 tank on this account. I could of course play some random games, but I think it would be probably nicer if we just analyze the games a little bit and just have a second look just fairly quickly. Not going to spend a ton of time on that. Just an overlook. What was the key moment to the win? And then we're already done with the game. Just for those who are just getting started with tournaments and who maybe want to be, so you have some better overview of that. But I'm just waiting for the results of the other games here still. We still don't have it. Long games then. Okay. Yeah. Let me then just quickly open my stream. Sorry, you could just hear me there for a moment. Wait, did you just... on the display there's a stat tracker of some of yesterday's late night session still activated. Oops. Okay. Never mind. Yeah, let me just open the stream here. And we can now have another look. Okay, 1 second. I'll just quickly open my screen brush. Okay. Oops. Got it. Now we can start. I can just put this over to the other side. Well, the first game here. It was Mine Ruins. Let's just skip forwards here a little bit. Shugu just taking that C cap. At the same time, Milkshake in the A cap. What we are already seeing at this point here just to point that out right now already, is that the team of RISQ just has a lot of map control like this. They're now heading into the back also, meaning that they can just shoot from so many different angles. If a team is able to do so, to just not necessarily even to get back into the spawn here, because there they can get counter pushed, but just being able to get into the middle and have safe positions like that already offers for just being able to hold base A or give base A away. Holding base B is still possible like that. At the same time, you can crossfire from many different angles here. Maybe even get behind them to just have some really nasty shots. And just have just bleed out the enemies. That's mostly what happens here. And now we can see how nasty the situation is here, really. There is still the B cap, which is potentially still a little bit risky, but P1 is just trying to cover that. But at the same time, they're having everyone to different sides here. And that's really not healthy for them. Because the RISQ team like this is able, or was able, to just put out a lot more DPM than the P1 team here. They had a lot of tanks to their front. And of course it was Bifrost getting focused down here. But still, RISQ just had a really good crossfire here afterwards. And could put out a lot more damage. But P1 actually did really good on the focus fire. Yet it was not enough in the end. So that was already our first game. You could see how this crossfire really played out. Although RISQ was down a tank early on, they just lost the tank in B. But still they were able to just put out enough damage just in order to win the game. So let's skip forwards here for the next game. As said, we're not going to just watch the whole games again. I just want to point out the moves that were winning this. Because sometimes when seeing things live, it's a bit tricky to say. I can just comment what's going on. But sometimes there's some fight in some different place that you don't have the best overview of. So let's try to figure out what the moment was where the game was decided here. Here I could already see some little issue here. Actually, there was still that LT over there, which just rotated out. But actually, if he stayed, it was risky, of course. RISQ having that many tanks there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, actually all of them are spotted. We can also see that over here on the right side. But the issue is, with the LT being over here, he could have potentially just delivered some really painful crossfire there. That did not happen. RISQ decided to just push forwards right in between still. And it did almost work out. They did have some good option of just pushing forwards here. Really lovely crossfire like this. P1 had to fall back. The LT ran away, and the problem for P1 at this point was that the LT just had to run. Was effectively out of the fight. As we are seeing over there, the LT just decided to get away like this. But at the same time, Sheridan over here wasn't fighting either because of lack of armor. So, okay, that was just not perfectly working out here. I did also have a larger minimap. Let's activate that one. Yes, you can now see much more of what's going on here. But P1 ended up winning the game here. Hit points being even, guns being even. It's a lot about the focus fire here. RISQ actually having better positions here, as they're having the middle with a high ground and are able to shoot down, but they are pushing forwards. And now we can start to see a little bit of an issue here. If we are just checking the minimap, we can really see it quite nicely what's going on here. P1 does have shots from two different angles. Just look at it over here. There's P1. The LT, of course, still being away. But they are being set up like this. With then the RISQ team being in the middle. So that means shots from two different angles. RISQ just pushing straight through the middle there. Really getting into the crossfire. As soon as they are showing the back to the enemies are able to just put out a lot more DPM more effectively. As, yeah, if you're just having the front of a Type 71, then you have to spam heat, probably bounce a couple of shots, while the back is just a safe penetration. That can be said for sure. So like that, RISQ was just showing their butt and it's just, yeah, feeling the pain. They still managed to get pixels out of the fight, but after that, surprisingly for this situation, it's the other way around again. Guns still being even. Guns being absolutely even, but now we do have actually the red team here. Just gotta see it on the minimap. Red team in the middle of the blue guys. The LT still on the other side there, still causing some trouble, of course. So, what's going on there? It's still super. Just check the hit points out. Guns being even, hit points being even. It's so close here. Still turned out to be a win for P1. There they get a kill. And now they have the better positioning again. Just look at this, man. AFK now isolating himself, chasing the Sheridan, which might seem like a bit of a mistake because he's running away from his teammates. But also he is avoiding the Kranwagen that we are having here. This guy. And what is also happening then? As the Sheridan has to run away, the Kran AFK will be over here. Has some crossfire into the middle like that. Just as the teammates, which we can see on the minimap, are pushing in from the other side. And can also crossfire like that. RISQ will be in the middle again, as AFK is pushing to the side. So we're just skipping a bit forwards here. That is exactly what's happening here, just as I described in this situation. Juicy is getting focused from two different angles, and the Sheridan was still able to run away. It's actually about Ur in the Kranwagen here. He was still trying to get AFK, but AFK also bought his teammates a lot of time like this. Just look at it here. AFK just dropping back here, being hull down again, was just costing RISQ a lot of time. They did not really have the tanks available to get him there. He was just dropping back into safety, and the others try to chase him while getting farmed from behind here. And that was really a tricky game here. Could have gone anywhere. I think with the other ones we have to be a bit faster. I was just analyzing a ton on this one. This one was the... was a climb. But stronger opening by RISQ actually, as they were able to just have the Krans over there, which I did not see on screen, but they managed to shoot out base C. As you could see, Polter Group here getting smacked early on. And yeah, it was a game with the Krans here. Let's just skip forwards a little bit. The Krans should really not have been there. P1, they could... So what could P1 do in this situation? The Krans really needed to get out of this, honestly. The Krans just were in the middle. Worth risk just being to two sides here, which was just doomed to fail. If the Krans try to back out of this, they would probably also get shot from behind. They would have been gone anyways. So an option number one here, the most obvious option for P1 would have been to try to kill that guy over here, the isolated bait. If they decided to push onto him from the side, from over there as well, like this maybe, or that's actually not the call, like this, and having tanks in the middle here to crossfire like this. But that would have been a problem because the blue team, of course, RISQ could have just crossfired here, and it would not have been a win for P1. So option number two, counter pushing base A, while simultaneously pushing the middle area here onto base B. That would have been the task for the Krans then. It did not work out really. That was just not working out. So it was already lost over here. I think I can already move forwards because that game was kind of obvious. So number two here was also very obvious win to RISQ right at the start here, with ST-127 just getting crossfired like that. E6 finally just remaining unspotted. And at that point it was already a win for RISQ here, although P1 still managed to get the caps here. But absolutely great move here by them to just keep up the pressure by the RISQ team, to just push onto base B from two different angles. Those guys could not get out of there alive anymore. Let me just check. I think we still have 7 minutes until the room invite. Yeah. Okay. Next game. No, give me my controls back. And let's make sure it stays on top quality. Alright, next one. Yukon here. It was P1 winning, if I remember correctly. Yes, it was actually RISQ had some fairly nice positions here. RISQ just had all the map control. If we are checking the mini map here, they had a ton of map control like that. They had the cap advantage. So what they kind of needed to do was to just cover that C cap. Maybe just they could just send the mouse in from behind, everyone else pushing in from the front. I think this would have been my idea of winning this game. The mouse as a bait into the back. Everyone else farming then from the other side. Maybe the E5 could have just accompanied the mouse, or could have also gone where the others. Didn't really matter too much probably. This would have been my idea to not even wait it out on the caps. What happened here was that P1 could see Juicy being our juicy target here. That was really a big problem here. Juicy's position was of course nice to crossfire a little bit like that. But also it was a huge weak spot. And RISQ was trying to cover him, but there's a hill over there. So Juicy is not 100% safe in that position. He can get covered a little bit, but Juicy is also going to die there, even if it costs the enemies some hit points. It's very hard to shoot in there because there's like the rock over here, there's a hill over there. P1 was just pushing right behind there, which allowed them to just safely get the kill here. Let's skip forward a little bit. Juicy getting focus at the same time. In the back there was the push going on, just RISQ was not really having any tanks available. How did the E5 die with 0 damage? I'm wondering. Oh! Look at the hit points of the E5, where is it? Full life. Full life. Full life. Okay! Ammo wreck. You could see it here. Oh my gosh. Yep, I did not see that, but it honestly didn't change the game. Damn. Well, was not really that important. Yep, this one I already mentioned earlier. Lineup was quite obvious for P1 to just go for base D. They tried to push base B then. Struggled to do so because there was really some good crossfire setup by RISQ. If we're checking it out here again, there is one bait over here in a good hull down position. And then we've got the Crans and 60TP E5, or is it 2110 E5? Why is it showing a B? Huh? They were all just set up there. Ah, it's B Frost. Oh my gosh, that's just perfect lined. Perfectly line up here. 2110 E5 B Frost RISQ. Well, they were just all lined up to crossfire this area. Because in 99% of the scenarios when the team has a cap advantage like RISQ does here, the enemies are trying to push into that B cap. So that's what P1 tried to do, to push in like that and like that. Now, RISQ was aware of that, was just countering that to perfection. So let's just skip forwards a little bit to the push. P1 was biting their teeth out on that attempt. I think what could have maybe worked out a little bit better if the E6s and the IS-4 did not keep going, like the IS-4 was moving up like that, it would have maybe been a bit better if these guys just pushed in over here, the others over there. Of course, the E5 would be a problem with the DPM in the back, but like that, P1 could have had 6 guns available to just shoot down these two here. Or 3. I think this would have been a really nice option here in this situation, although they did not have the spots, of course. But when they decided to push onto B or F Silver, it would have been nice if they had these guys available to cover there. What they did was to just get to B with everyone. They could have one weak spot to push onto. There is the IS-4 and E6 over there. But they were struggling to really be effective enough here, as all these 4 tanks over here really did not have the best option of putting out damage here. And I think that was it. The next room invite should also be in quite soon. Just a minute. Alright, so much about the analysis. I think my game might have just crashed as I tried to accept the old room invite. Restart. All right. Okay, we don't have the room invite just yet. There it is. Okay, room invite is in. We stood up 5 minutes. I will just go for a very quick toilet break. So, see you back in a minute. Okay. So next game starting in about 2 minutes. ID versus P1. It seems like ID just had some very close defeat there. Now we are in the lower bracket. Maybe I should just quickly show you once more so you are sure of where we are. This is, let me just update here. Ah, come back. Come back. Ah, there it is. We will see ID versus P1 right now and RN versus RISQ afterwards. Very close games there of RN versus ID. And we're having E100s. Interesting choice here. We are on Black Goldville now. An E100 on this map, that is uncommon from my experience. I don't know if any of the Asian teams have ever gone for this tank in the past already. But E100, well, it does have a fairly strong turret nowadays. It's a double M6 That looks like a C lineup. But in tournaments, it might of course go anywhere. Triple 60p Kranwagen, Sheridan, double type for P1. ID going for some very interesting lineup here of tanks that are not like the most common. Okay, let's get into the game. Let's go. Yep. Oop, wrong direction. Was it the E100 spawning on the Met side actually? Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. And the team ID is actually heading towards base A and going very aggressive here in the middle area with the IS-7, who is not staying in the B cap, as he spotted up Krummer trucks over there in the back. Now he is able to capture base B, is not getting contested doing so. Cambon just getting crossfired a little bit, taking actually quite a big hit by that 60p. And it is an early cap advantage to ID. Yeah, sorry. Okay. I missed that shot here. Chromatox getting crossfired as he was moving over towards base C. But it will be Team ID just safely getting into base A as well. Yet they're having a bit of a weak spot here with IDS being fairly isolated. Having a bit of backup by that M60, but you know, that guy with a big gun does not have any DPM available. And IDS is doing a great move here of just running away with the IS-7 with a speed boost pulled off. He does surely not want to be there in the middle. And there he goes, he's safe now. The IS-7 could have gotten pushed onto from the C side, so that would have been a huge problem here for him. It's not a good call to move out of there. When IND is set up quite nicely here and do potentially even have the option of shooting down the Kranwagen. It's just a little bit of an HE damage here. But potentially they could push on here. Or are they going to fall back and cover base B? That's the question now. They do have two options here. Either just trying to secure the base. Ouch! That was 1.2k damage almost into that IS-7. As he was just overextending a little bit. He has to be careful though. Now P1 is counter pushing base B. The M60 may be having a full clip into him, but it will be painful for him as well, as he is getting pre-aim from lots of different angles. Currently the Yo is unspotted, but AFK does know about his position there. And 500, 900 damage into the Yo for putting out 800 damage. Being able to just stop the B cap for a moment, but it was not really worth it. ID will have to do something, yes. They are losing the cap advantage right now. And they threw away their opportunity of pushing forwards for the map control here. But ST-127 is now getting into the back of the E-100, also offering a RISQ spot. He's still full life though. It will be a problem if the E-100 is dying here for nothing. And ID down a tank. Also managed to shoot down the Sheridan, surprisingly. I don't even know where, to be honest. I don't know where that was. ID having double tanks in spawn now to hold up P1 a little bit, but that's not going to last for too much longer, as they just lost another one here on A. But the Sheridan will have the kill of that type. Yet caps on side of P1 quite soon again. And they are having a gun advantage, they are having the hit point advantage. And IDS is in focus here by 2 tanks, not going to survive this. So it is looking good for P1. Yes, they're also about to lose AFK in a type, in a TP. Sheridan's still going down. But there's only 2 guys standing here for ID at this point. A last hope. Oh, he's probably out of luck now. ID just pulling back that far. The IS-7 clearly misplaying here, losing half of his hit points for nothing. And ID falling back that far so that they could not cover base B nor gain any advantage was a huge problem for them. Here P1 just built up the pressure, did a great job of pushing that E100 out then as well. Good move there into the back of him to just crossfire. And the positions of ID were questionable. The U100 in the middle just being a huge weak spot. The I-7 getting shot down. And actually I think ID kind of needed to do something, whatever it would have been. Either just pushing forwards to kill the guys that were left in spawn, because P1 was kind of splitting up. They had 3 guys on base C, they had 1 guy on B then, leaving 2 guys in the back, or 3 guys in the back. That I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think ID would have had a good chance of just pushing them out while P1 was going for the B cap. Otherwise, P1 ID could have decided to just counter push base C, sitting back and waiting for P1 to make a move was not really working out here, as they would have had to cover that E100 a lot better. They would have had to cover that B cap a lot better. Both of that was barely an option. Counter pushing base B could have been an option as well, but then there would be the guys from C to help out as well. I will just analyze that a little bit more and have another look at that right after the games. But now we are here for the live games and we are heading into the next one already, which will be the same map again. I did not pay attention to the lineups just yet. We do have double VK90 on this game. For the P1 team, we do have some types, of course. Nice for Sheridan. On the other side, we do have... Oh, let's just stick to that guy as he's going for the first spot. We do have a Sheridan as well, an M60 Type 71, and the VK72 past the first spot. Not wanting to take any damage, just overlooking base C, or the crossing towards base C here. As Ligulira just did the mistake of getting a bit more aggressive on the first spot. I don't know if that was worth it, but that's exactly what Spartan Sword decided to just avoid here by being a bit more careful. Camper moving in the same position that he was in last game. Maybe having some shots over there. Sheridan bouncing off or failing to connect his shot with a poor accuracy. And the next one is bouncing. Legolero, super lucky. Could have been dead already with some good rolls off that VK and Sheridan. So it will be actually a cap advantage to P1 here as they are dropping into the B cap again. And ID being in a similar situation. Will they be able to push forward this time? Or are they going to push onto base B? What do they have in mind now? They're still set up fairly passive here. So they're not really having the best options of pushing forward. Apart from Nitro and ST-122-27. Those would be weak spots. And ID is slowly moving forwards here, not wanting to sit it out like on the last game. But of course, P1 is already reacting. About to counter push onto base B. I think pushing down into this Canal onto Nitro, which is a very healthy super heavy, would probably be a mistake as there would be so much crossfire. So it would probably be the better call to just counter push the spawn area here, try to get ST and the I7 Polter group first. Polter grub? Polter grub maybe? Maybe like that, yeah. And it is currently just not really happening too much here. ID just moving a little bit, getting a bit more aggressive, not really daring to go in anywhere. They managed to counter base B right now. They have stopped the cap. Campon having the first big hit into Milkshake, having another big hit into Milkshake. But both teams losing a lot of hit points. And we're seeing Apropath here being in a huge struggle as he pushed onto base C, about to get taken out here. 2 kills for P1 already, as they still have all the tanks alive. There goes the first one. Pixels out of the fight now. But the Sheridan is also pushing in now. 900 points, and the Sheridan is just trying to stop the base at all costs. But the cost is probably too high here for ID to try to go for these bases. They are not really being aggressive enough here, but at the same time having a few times being way too aggressive without gaining any advantage, it seems. Guns actually still being even, but the hit points highly in favor of P1 already. Last Hope still trying to stop the base, but that's a point win to P1. I think ID does not like this map. They clearly seem to have their struggles with this one. Not really having the chance of just winning here by holding and crossfiring. They were just all trading and no one was really moving. Although ID got to be slightly more aggressive on this game compared to the last one. They had some better options here, but they did not really have any tank they wanted to push onto. They did not have like a team rotation to go for a good move. This was rather a little bit random. It felt like with ID just trying to do something, but not like doing one thing as a team here. P1 was just taking the bases and just winning this without really too much of a struggle. It felt like ID just pushed into base C with one guy, pushed into base B with one guy. And it was quite easy for P1 to cover that. Although both teams were just trading here for the most part of this game. ID's very separated moves did not work out. Maybe on the next game it will be different for them here. Maybe they just really struggle to find their game plan on this game. So it is now Naval Frontier. An LT, IS-4, TP, FE215B, Type 71 for ID, and of course a very similar lineup for P1 as well. So we're having 2-0 for P1 right now. It is a best of 7 again. So P1 just 2 wins away from winning this. It could be decided on this map already, if they are quick. ID had some much closer games against RISQ before. Or not RISQ. Who was it on the first game? They had some much closer games already, but now they're really just struggling. Yeah. ID potentially just about to drop into base A, but P1 is there to counter that. P1 on the rotation here. P1 pushing onto the A cap here, where there are 2 very isolated tanks. This might be huge for P1. The T100 though has to be careful to not get too aggressive as he's taking the first hit. Bouncing off the second one, AFK pushing in, but the FE215B is there to cover. And where's the rest of P1? They are pushing in here, potentially about to gain a huge advantage. Shooting down IDS already. Now in the cap. Still maybe able to put out another shot. Nope. So they are going for the cap right now. Not having any cap advantage. A little bit of fire here on ST. And we already have IDS down to a 1-shot now. That was happening out of sight, and there goes IDS as he got crossfired from the other side. And also the FE215B here would try to support, just got killed already. Super aggressive play by P1 here, as Last Hope is trying to counter push onto ST, bouncing the shot off though. Over here we still have P1 pushing onto an isolated IS-4 in the middle area, about to get the kill quite soon as well. The 60TP trying to support it a little bit, but not really being able to do so. Last Hope here, just pushing forwards onto Chromatrox, and the T100 still maybe getting... Nope, he's not going to get the kill as Chromatrox is taking him out here. And that's only 2 tanks left for ID at this point. Spartan Sword is still trying to push in there. And he is probably not getting that LT. Maybe he still is. Let's follow him. He is just getting the kill shot still. But the 60TP also being down to a 1-shot. 3 caps on side of P1. What an aggressive play here by P1. Just not getting spotted, surprisingly, on the rotation towards base A. Double Type 71 from ID taking base A, just getting absolutely trapped and obliterated there. There goes the last one, as they were not able to drop down here in safety, as there were some guys still behind waiting for that to happen. And just crossfiring IDS, who just got deleted off the field in no time there. Huge advantage to P1 at the start already. Interesting move there. They did not cover the A cap. They did not go for base C at the start. They just pushed base A with a little bit of a delay. It was interesting to see that. So that's 3-0 for P1 right now. Only 1 more win needed. P1 really dominating here. They struggled more in the last games that we've seen. But here they are going hard. They are really delivering some good show here. ID is just I think ID is actually the former champion, and ID is struggling here on this game. This might be it for the top 4 tournament for ID already. If they are losing the next game, they would have to win 4 games in a row right now. That's almost impossible, but just almost. They still have a last chance here. They need last hope. They need a last hope to win this. Let's see if they are capable of just finding the motivation and the focus to really have another chance here still to turn the odds around in their favor. So this might be the last game of this encounter. Same map once more. And we are seeing ID moving to rather split it passive positions, it seems. With P1 doing something very similar to that, covering base A with a double TP. Or maybe they're just going for the middle. Yep. Seems like the TPs are heading into the middle area. ID will have the cap advantage. They can take base C uncontested. No one set up over here to crossfire and decap. And it will be the LT just moving towards base A right now. Nothing's going to happen on base C, so yeah, we don't need to pay too much attention to that. Although ID could potentially push onto Polter Group, but he is still relatively safe there. So look at this. The type got outspotted. Although being in a bush, it would be IDS who could still have a shot if he moved over on that side. But he is not moving out there, he's just staying. That's a free cap for P1. 60p putting out a big shot into Campon. Still a mentionable cap advantage to Team ID right now. So what's going to happen here? ID still sitting it out. They will probably have to cover base B or make sure they're not dying over there. Poltergrub and Laglira here just pushing into the side of the IS-4, who is currently not paying any attention to that. Getting shot here? Nope, not quite. Soon he will get shot, right? He does have no clue just yet. Poltergrub just aiming for him. You can see him already. But as you may know, you are only spotting with the highest point of your tank and the gun mantlet. So that IS-4 was not able to spot Poltergrub here. But Polter did not connect this shot. And the LT just waiting here, staying unspotted, actually running away again. They have given up on the idea of just pushing that IS-4 out. Also, there's a Sheridan right behind. And Last Hope now pushing up here. And giving P1 the advantage over here potentially. But ID is still having some really safe positions. ST and Zipak just very close to each other. But Zipak is just not intending to move out. He's just covering the side here. Doesn't want to lose any hit points for no reason. And P1 is getting a bit more aggressive here. But I think they will really struggle to push into this. At the same time, we've got a ton of tanks from ID over here. They could potentially go for the kill of the IS-4. If they are moving up safely like Agropuff is doing. Maybe he's intending to push to the side, but we're seeing a B cap right now. ID forgot about covering that. I feel like Nitro currently uncontested in the B cap. will get away with it without even getting shot. And he's now able to push forwards as well. And it is P1 going for the push here and taking the cap advantage now in a very short amount of time. But it is ST getting crossfired here for 1k damage. The push came to a halt as the IS-4 is counter-pushing into the back here. Stopping that B-cap. Having cross shots onto ST. But C is getting counter-capped as well. It will be a 1v1 over there as ST is going down first here. All caps being stopped apart from base A right now as ID is counter-pushing base A and getting the kill of AFK quite soon. Sheridan putting out a huge shot into him as IDS is pushing in. AFK bouncing the last shot of 845 points for ID as they are about to stop base A here. They have stopped base B as well. Base C is also stopped right now. No caps for any team right now anymore. But Agripov is really struggling here. He is not surviving this for too much longer. He is getting hope to help him out. And it is 925 points for ID, but they're not gaining any points by the bases. They have to go for kills. Or maybe take base A as the Sheridan is doing right now. Campon also down to a one shot, putting out a huge shot into Milkshake still. Milkshake getting killed. Points and caps again on the side of ID right now. Krumachok's being very healthy here still and trying to stop the base B. Getting the kill shot still of Campon. But also Krumachok is not going to survive for too much longer. Down to a one shot he is right now. It is the Sheridan getting the kill. And that is a win to ID. That's the first out of 4 wins they would need for a comeback. But they managed to do at least 1 win already. I'm hoping for some more. Not because I'm for ID, but because I want the closest games as possible. I'm for every team that is participating here. Really well played here. Love to see ID with a little bit of a comeback here. And P1 just... yeah, P1 had a good option here of just taking base B. ID gave that away. But ID was still set up to crossfire quite nicely. And mainly, ID reacted really well at just pushing back to their spawn to counter push base B immediately with that IS-4 just dropping into that B cap to build up some crossfire while A got pushed. Really good move there. I think it would have been a problem if ID actually decided to push into base B with everyone, because they would have given up base C and base A simultaneously. They would have been trapped in the middle area. As we pointed out on the analysis, that can really be problematic for a team to be in the middle of 2 sides of 2 enemies to 2 sides. Especially when the sides are higher even, as there would be height advantage on base A and base C. So well played here by ID to just go for that A cap again, get some kills over there, push into base B later on only. And that was the first win. Maybe they're getting some more wins still. They will have to try their best, definitely. We're switching maps to Normandy right now. Normandy, a fairly large map that is just mostly played for the heavy side. And we are seeing some 6 CTPs, IS-4 Sheridan, Type 71s for ID. At the same time, P1 is going for a double crown T100, Type 71 and VK72 lineup. Hit points being fairly close for now. Sheridan not going for the middle. I was just asking myself whether that was about to happen, as the middle is getting crossfired quite often. It is a Sheridan actually going for that cap here. Might be cap advantage to ID because they are in the cap with 3 tanks right now. And Galera is the only one over here, while the rest is moving towards base A, where there's a very isolated Type 71 behind the bunker over here to just cover that A cap. Maybe getting in a shot to decap still. Yeah, he's actually putting an HE shot in. Truck's bouncing off. This guy is a big weak spot, being very isolated. ID now being there to crossfire, putting out a huge shot into the Kranwagen. And a little bit of an HE damage there. Kampon taking 755 damage off that VK-72 with the tungsten shells here from the side. Cap advantage to P1. ID may have an option of pushing away or pushing out that T100 LT and VK-72, but currently they are just losing hit points here. Although they are not down too much. Agro has to be careful. Agro is getting a bit aggressive here, which is not necessarily the best for him, as he might get pushed onto from behind. But it looks like ID just wants to push forwards here. But do they have the tanks available? Doesn't look like it. It looks like ID is trying to go for an aggressive move onto those Kranwagens here. The Sheridan pushed out, took a lot of damage here. TP failed the first shot, but now he put at 1.1k into that Kranwagen. And ID will have to push in here because they are losing the hit points. They will have to gain some kind of advantage here to make it worth it. TP putting out another big shot into nitroglycerine. The Krans being low on the DPM might be a good option to push onto, but it is a Sheridan to go down first. And a lot of bounces here, as I can see, from Team ID. But ST is in focus right now. Going down as well. Nitro still alive as a low hit point one shot. Poltergrub still getting crossfire as he's trying to get Agropuff. There goes Agropuff, but also ITS here isolated himself. Guns being on side of P1, and they are about to get the next kill here with IDS going down quite soon. But maybe last drop is still able to shield. Yes, it was actually possible for IDS to still get around the corner there. Fairly close. But the points, hit points, are highly in favor of P1. Especially with that full VK-72 now in the fight. There are a lot of one-shots though. But only 2 tanks, only 1 tank left for ID. And it is last hope. It is last hope. Of course it is last hope. But he is not going to stand a chance here. ID just trading poorly on this game, I've got to say. That's it for ID. ID is out of the tournament with this game. Commiserations to them who were played. But P1 just being stronger here on these games. That can be said for sure. Was a well-deserved win to P1. But like ID kind of struggled on a lot of games here with their moves. Did not have the best options to push in. Did not just move together well enough to counter P1's strong positioning. And that's it for this encounter here. So P1 is through to the lower bracket finals. And ID is out of the tournament. First one to be out here of the top 4. So still 4th place for the Asian server. Well played, guys. Sadly not possible to get any higher. But yeah, that's also some achievement. The others though still able to fight for the next stages. So let's see. The next game will be RN versus RISQ then. We'll have some time again. This game was also over fairly quickly, so yeah, it's going to be a while. Okay, I will probably need some 5-minute break before the next game's done. That's getting to be quite exhausting, especially when there are 3 games on a day. Okay, next game's about to start in half an hour again. I will again go for some analysis of the last games and point out the key moments once more before we are getting to the next live games. So we've got no winners yet because everything's still possible. Sadly, one losing team already. And that's how it is on a tournament. So let's open the stream again. And by the way, of course I cannot pay too much attention to the live chat here. Still seeing a lot of people watching live. I'm thankful for everyone being here. So many people watching here. Good morning to me it is, or good day everyone. Nice to see you all. I hope you're all enjoying the show, and if so, then yeah, consider leaving a sub or like. If you want to see my usual streams, then you will have to see the link in the description down below on YouTube, because all my regular streams are happening on Twitch, and on YouTube there are only occasional streams for specific tanks and videos, and more and more and more. More videos coming, so yeah, stay tuned for that as well. Keys. Seeing the questions there on the chat. Well, for the keys, of course, you do have to watch through the portals. So yeah, just log in over the Wargaming portal and you will be able to get your keys. I think the moderators are also doing a good job of just handing out some links there. So let's get back to the analysis. Okay, let's take this one. First game here. Maybe I will just quickly add a little text. So that people don't get confused when watching it back. Do I have something like this already? No. Okay. Yeah, not meant to be that big. Let's select my standard font. Where is it? There it is. I'll make it a bit smaller. Just so that people know what's up here. Good. So first game. It was Black Goldville here. ID with a super aggressive play. Actually, I could see that one working out quite nicely. The IS-7 just YOLOing into that cap. Here, the rest of the team being set up quite passively in the back there, being able to rotate anywhere. Look how fast he's been there. Impossible for P1 to counter that. He could just safely take the base, and also he did a really nice move of rotating out there while P1 was trying to get base C. So at this point it looked like a huge advantage to Team ID. Really love to see that IS-7 pushing out of that rotating back to the spawn. And at this point, it should have been a win to ID. But of course, they struggled here, because what ID did was to just sit it out. The problem about that being that, yeah, the red team P1 could just get into the B cap basically uncontested. Of course, there was still the Yo here, but that one could get crossfired from over there. Like that, P1 would gain a huge advantage in terms of caps and map control and kills also. So what I thought, what should have happened here? Like, there are really only there are three options actually, let's be honest. So the options being here in this kind of situation for ID to either counter push base B whenever P1 was trying to push into the B cap. Then ID could just follow them, push down there. Problem about that, there would be P1, these guys over there. They would be coming in from the other side, would get in some really painful crossfire, pushing into base B with everyone. It's mostly leading to you just losing a lot of hit points. The enemies are having better positions. If you're just staying on the higher ground here, then you're set up a little bit better. If ID did not manage to do so, although they did have the E100 basically ready for that, if that might have been the case that the E100 was meant to just push into base B or something. Otherwise, there were two more options. Option number one, or it's actually option number two, because B is option number one. The other option would have been to just push into those guys over here. As you can see on a minimap, there are three isolated guys. Especially later on. Let's maybe skip forwards a little bit to when their TP is pushing into the B cap. Yeah, also the I7, they're losing way too many hit points. But now we do have the situation where P1 is just changing the advantage, or just swapping it around in their favor here. So ID was under pressure now, and they had to react to it, and they didn't. That was the big issue here for them. They had, of course, one option, killing B, as I just mentioned. Not necessarily all that perfect, because on B, you can see all those guys able to just counter from different angles. Might have not worked out. Option number two, going for those guys here in the spawn, just pushing forwards with everyone like that, getting some kills while giving up the cap advantage, and then it would be Team ID having the map advantage like that, and could just still push onto base B from different angles, potentially. Option number three would have been to counter push base C here, because they could get base C, they could maybe still cover base B, or maybe just still like this crossfire base B while gaining control of that C cap, giving up base A, maybe killing some tanks over there, and they would have gained some advantage potentially as well. But what ID did was basically just staying there. So I did not really like to see that too much here. They definitely had an option, but they just had all the tanks in spawn, not really doing much here. We can clearly see these two tanks being super isolated. There are 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 tanks to push onto those two. Of course, that guy could have, this one could have also still helped out, but ID had a chance. Yet the guys in spawn did not really matter too much here. Like, those two did not really have the best situation here for pushing forwards. I think they should have been closer to the A side, or just closer to the team. And you can also see in this situation quite clearly that the positions of P1 are much closer together. They can focus fire here. Just checking the minimap out here. You can see there's over there is an isolated blue tank in the middle of all those red tanks. There is this isolated blue tank, and the rest of the blue tanks are just very far away still. If ID only had some more tanks here in this area to the side, they could have just counter-pushed a lot better. Was not really happening here, so they just lost all the tanks. Those two in spawn did not change anything about the outcome there, because they could not secure any caps, they could not counter-push. They could just shoot one or the other time there. Okay, I think we can get to the next game. Next one. It was same map, of course. ID moving out towards base A once more. And P1 moving towards base C again. Similar situation to the last game actually. Very similar. Just without the cap advantage of B for ID. And ID was still able to... No, they were not able to cover the B cap anymore. They did have a tank set up down there. Did not manage to counter or just decap the base consistently. So that was a bit problematic to them, of course. But on this map, it is mostly the case that the B cap is being taken for free. Rarely ever it is possible to just decap that reliably. But what was happening afterwards was ID just... They were more aggressive than on the last game. I like to see that at least. They did have a lot of map control if we're just checking out the mini-map here. They do have this kind of map control. Oh shit. They do really have a large chunk of the map like this. Ah, come on, why does it stick into it? Okay, and the P1 team was just basically on the red line only. But the problem here really was that ID did not push in anywhere. They just went aggressive but did not move as a team. So I think what ID kind of needed to do here was to just try to kill this area. Because then they would have really gained an advantage. They would have gained the gun advantage. They would then be able to go for base B right after. Going for base B first, as I mentioned already, like pushing in like this. And from the front, it could have worked out. But there is the huge risk of just having... There's still two tanks over here, remember. They would be able to crossfire. And then there would be the 4 tanks over here. Which would come in from the side and would also crossfire like that. And ID would just kill one very healthy VK90. Which would not happen too quickly. And they would lose potentially all of those tanks that were pushing in from behind there. Would not have necessarily worked out all that well here for them. If P1 also kept some good positions on the high ground and in the back here, because they could still have map control like this without having to overexpose to shoot anyone going for the VK90. And they could also shoot anyone in a B cap still like this. So it would have been really risky to do so. So I think it would have been much better to just go for the isolated tanks in the rear here. Of course, Poltergrub is in a good hull down position. ST also is fairly covered there, but still ID could be pushing in there because they still have the type over there to crossfire. They can push in like that. They can push in like that. And they would be on the low ground, which is sometimes a little bit of a Disadvantage, of course, but in this case it would allow them to be covered from all those guys we can see on the mini-map over there. So I think that was the best option, to just quickly try to kill those tanks first, then move towards base B, or just, yeah, send one tank into base B and have double caps against less tanks still. So that would have been my idea here, or is my idea, when just looking at the situation from above, which is of course a lot easier than being in the game as a player, because those guys obviously have a lot more training than I do. I'm not playing tournaments actively. It's of course trickier to see it when being in the game yourself. But I guess that's pretty much it for this game. They just traded and tried to push into base B, then did not really push though. They did just stop the cap for a while, but they could not keep up stopping it. Also, they had the Type 71 over there just pushing into base C completely alone. I did not quite get this move, why he was going in completely alone. If he was just being a bait and just slowly moving forwards over there while the rest of the team was counter pushing the other side, that's what we also sometimes would see. Just think of it like this, like one guy is moving over here and distracting all the reds so that they are pushing onto him potentially. Meanwhile, there is a push onto base B, getting that B cap, and the rest of the team, 5 tanks, then pushing this area so that there would not be too much of an option for P1 to cover all of the situations here. They would get 1 kill in the corner here, but they would not be able to simultaneously still cover base B and the guys in the back here. So I think in that case it could have worked out here. But ID was just splitting up quite a lot like this and not really moving close together, not focus firing to... Otherwise, they could have given up aggro in the back here, as he kept 2 tanks busy, occupied in a fight there. So they could get back the cap advantage, could get the kill advantage, but they struggled to do so in this situation here, as they really did not push in too well. Although also then you can see the Sheridan just trying to stop the cap, but look at them getting bullied here by all these tanks right around him. No way of him having any chance of surviving this. Meanwhile, the others here, the other guys of ID, only now they managed to kill the 2 tanks over there. That should have happened a lot sooner, and then they could have still tried to push onto base C with a light tank or something. Was not really working out here. They did not really have the master plan in their hands. Next game. Oh, I'm already a bit too far here. Definitely I am. I want to see that starting point again, because it was quite interesting what P1 did here. They did have... Okay, they were actually all on C and immediately rotated, as they didn't have too many spots in front. What did they spot? Okay, they spotted those 3 guys here, at least. Probably only those 3. And they immediately decided, also the RV was spotted, okay, and they decided to just counter push base A with everything. Really aggressive play here. They did not really know what was there on base A. Could have been the LT. So they still left ST over here to just crossfire. They still had the 60 piece in the middle to crossfire. Then pushed in here onto the double Type 71. It was perfect for them to find double Type 71, as it allowed them to gain a double tank advantage and also We could just see that FE215B getting smacked by the 62Ps here. Losing half of our sit points. Type 71s now have to drop down and are still getting crossfired by the TPs. Just have that in mind. The TPs are set up over there. There's a push over here, so those two can just not get out of there safely. Really nicely played here by P1. There was just simply no chance for ID. It was already decided at this point, so no reason to just analyze the rest here. That was just the very early aggressive push by P1. Good crossfires though. So let's get to the next one, which was a win to Team ID. I think we can skip forwards a little bit. They did just rotate quite nicely here. No, actually Team ID just had, it was not a rotation, it was Team ID just setting up passively here. Did not manage to cover base A, but they rotated back afterwards. Base B was given up, but they did then push base A here. Still at this point, it is very passive here for both teams. Not much happening after 3 minutes into the game almost. Yeah. Let's skip forwards. And now it is decided, as we can see on a mini-map here, that ID is giving up on base C actually and rotating back to the other side. Everyone just pushed over towards the other side here as P1 decided to get into base B and try to push forwards here. But ID was doing a really nice job of covering that. He just getting smacked here as he tried to push up there. There would have been the option of just counter pushing ST-127 here in the middle area for Team ID. They could have certainly decided to go in like this and like this, but it would have left them on the low ground with some more guys being on A and also some more guys being behind there to crossfire like this and like this. So it would have been a problem for Team ID potentially. So I like to see that they did not decide to do it with everyone. They still sent in the IS-4 here, but they still got the kill, but then decided to push onto base A instead. Just look at this. They did not stay or get dragged into the middle. They rather pushed for the outside, pushed for base A afterwards. The IS-4, who moved into the middle alone, just was able to hold up for long enough here. Actually, it's the same IS-4 still. He's still alive. They're in the middle of the map, having a lot of tanks around him, but an IS-4 currently is super healthy with 2,800 hit points. It is a tank that really doesn't get killed all that easily. It was really nicely done here, just counter pushing base A, getting the cap control back and also getting better positions while also getting kills. So that's 3 advantages simultaneously, which is really good here for Team ID, and they get a safe win on this game. Unfortunately, it was the only one that turned out to be a win like that. Next one was Normandy still. We can still take a few more minutes for the last game. Interesting positioning here by Agropath. Actually, I'm surprised he did stay on the left side here, because you can actually also get into the right side. And from over there, you can just decap quite safely. Of course, this position is a bit of a risk here, but it is also a bait that might survive for a long time. And if P1 decided to push onto that type over there with everyone, like all those guys, if they all decided to push down, it would have led to just P1 giving up all the map control. P1 would have half of their team down there on the beach. It would take them a long time to move up the hill again. At the same time, Team ID could have made sure to just win the C cap, kill those 2 tanks, get D and C, maybe even base B, or just go forwards and kill everyone. Did they have the information actually? It feels like at this point it could have already been a push here by Team ID. They did know that there was 1 tank only in the C cap because they were able to take the base much faster. They did have a lot of information, yet they decided to just rotate back. Of course, once the positions are taken here in the back, which we can see on this screen quite nicely, the LT position and the VK position, they are quite hard to counter. Pushing into that is really a tricky thing to do because you need to cross a lot of open terrain. You get shot quite a lot from the sides there. And VK, of course, does have a lot of hit points. Although VK gets spotted quite late only. So ID decided to push back over here, but it did not really gain them anything. They could only try to counter Team P1 over them. So I think, honestly, what ID should have probably done was to just try to gain control of this side here. By killing everyone over there. Getting the C cap. They would have given up only this tank. Because he was a bait, that was alright. He could not really run away, but he could survive for a long time. If he was about to get pushed onto. If he was being ignored, then this type could have moved up the hill and just been in the back of P1 and just farmed them. It would have needed at least 2 tanks to kill him, so that was some good advantage for all those guys over here that were just able to push forwards. In my opinion, that would have been the best thing to do. That would have also been the main reason to go for this kind of strategy, to go for all the tanks over here into one side, so you have the advantage of pushing forwards. But they decided to give up their advantage on this side, rotated back, where they just did not have any advantage anymore, and were then pretty much, they were not even on a standoff situation there, and when facing the enemy, they were just at a disadvantage because they were getting crossfired from the side like that as well. So ID just got out-traded quite a lot on this game. Also then Aggro, who was the bait, actually did move out of his good position, offering a big weak spot to the enemy to push onto. Krans were in focus, but again, ID did not really move as a team here in this situation. They did not push in with everything onto the Krans, also from the back here, like this. They did not focus fire, they just shot down whatever was at their, to their front. And it looked a little bit chaotic here. Also the Sheridan just really overcommitting here, should have definitely tried to stay alive for a little bit longer. So I think that was really problematic here. Yeah, was just... only now ID is going for the push, but they already gave up 3 caps and they lost 2 tanks. That was far too light. If they pushed in while still being full life, they definitely had some advantage here in the middle area. Because there were some tanks very isolated. But like this, you can see it here. I had a similar situation earlier already. Now it is looking like this. Blue team in the middle, getting crossfired from different angles there. No way of surviving this. Okay guys, that was the analysis of game number 2. And we are very soon about to get to our next game. I think I will just, the room invite is coming in about 2 minutes. I will just take a quick break right now. Yeah, let's do it like that. Maybe I can show some kind of... Do I have some good replay maybe? So you have something to look at. What do we have here? Well, most of the replays are still on my iPad. Did not really upload any. Let's just go for this one. Okay. Short break. See you back in a minute. Okay. Back we are. Hope you enjoyed this slightly lucky gameplay, yeah? from the clan event together with a clan mate there in platoon. Really some next game. Okay, the next tournament room invite is in. And we do have RN versus RISQ now in the upper bracket finals. We're seeing some E6s again, love to see that. And we are just although the E6s in tournaments, I don't know if they're working out too well. I love the tank in random games. In tournaments, of course, they're just really giving away a little bit of the information of where you're intending on going. Like in this map, on this map, it is likely that they are going for the desert. And also, of course, E6 though is good at side scraping as well, surprisingly, so you might also go for cities. But sure, this map is mostly played for the desert. It is desert sand afterwards, after all. But of course also E6 doesn't have hit points, does not have armor. In the open it is kind of lost. But it is a great, fast, hull down DPM tank. We have RISQ lining up with an IS-4 double Kranwagen Type 71s. No spotting tanks on the field for them. RN Rote Nova is going for double E6 Sheridan and Type 71s here. We're about to start in 15 seconds. And it looks like RISQ might go anywhere. Potentially just holding the back with a little bit of a bait and pushing the city at the same time. RN will have the Sheridan ready to spot that. So let's see what's going to happen here. It could also be RN, it could also be RISQ going for the desert with everyone, of course. But I would expect at least 2 guys to go for the city here. Oh, no one spawned outside. That's interesting. Usually there's some guy spawning outside. Wadu here with a Sheridan going super aggressive on the spot, and it is absolutely worth it here. 900 damage being shot down off that type, and another few getting spotted here. I think there must have also been the Sheridan. RN lost a few hit points as well. A few more hit points over here. But now they already have the advantage here. And they have the information, being able to push forwards here onto the IS-4s and types over here in the city. They're not having a huge advantage so far. But Bifrost in focus, being shielded by his teammates. And RN maybe getting a touch too aggressive here. Trash getting focused. Sticky right behind him, just putting out his maximum DPM right into the back of the Type 71, who is about to die very soon. And Bifrost still being relatively safe as Trash is getting taken out here, but Sticky now also in focus, can still fall back here. Sticky down to a one-shot. And RN is trying to move up here, getting Sticky out of the fight, but being down one tank right now. Having more hit points though, still. It will be the question now, who can have the better focus file? There's the E6 in focus over here. E6 not having the armor. There go another few tanks of RISQ actually, as the E6 is also being taken out. Guns being even again, hit points being in favor of RN still, as the Kranwagen here is getting focused, not being able to put out any shots anymore. I think it must have been Sheridan E6 shooting him from the other side. RISQ is moving into the middle now, having a tank last trying to focus the guys in the desert here, but really getting smacked on the crossing here. Not being able to survive all those shots from behind. And now they still have Wadu in the Sheridan right behind there, able to put out a big shot into that Type 71. The Kran is still desperately trying to run away trying to just get into safety, but I don't think there is any safety available anymore. Out of safety for today. What an aggressive play here. RN just kind of overcommitting on a push a little bit. They still managed to out-trade. No, it was a RISQ actually overcommitting on a push here. Wait. I'm a little bit confused right now. I've got to see the colors again. I think it was... Who was the one pushing in? It was RN pushing in as they had the information. Yeah, with a Sheridan outside. And they went in first. Lost the first tanks. Did not gain any huge advantage with the push, but they had a good hit point advantage and they had the map control. Some tanks in the desert still to crossfire. So that was absolutely crucial here for RISQ. They were able to get into better positions than RN in this situation here. Mobility advantage paying off here. Well, and we are about to head into the next game already. With the RISQ just being down 1 point for now. Having a new lineup of full heavy tanks. RN liked their mobility advantage and they are going for it again. With an LT this time, not a Sheridan, so not exactly the same view range, yet a bit more DPM and better accuracy of course, paired with a OP spotting mechanic. Also some E6s once more for RN. Those tanks just having great mobility, great DPM, lacking in armor compared to the Type 71s, but if they are able to just get into some good positions, these E6s can work wonders. Game number 2 here now.
Time to roll out.
The LT about to go for an early spot once more. RISQ sending out one Type 71 completely alone. This Type 71 will be hard to push onto. But it might just be a bit too far away. It might be some awful surprise to the LT after capturing the A cap. Sticky being super alone in the back there. But RISQ, after capturing base C, is rotating back into the spawn. Juicy maybe still getting shot another time here. Yes, he is getting shot from the side here by the world. Wadu being in a super sneaky position here to crossfire from the side. RN just setting up quite nicely to cover the city area here with their positions in the back. But they will struggle to push forwards. Yet, it is RISQ with a cap advantage. Is RN already going for a push? Nope, they are not. RISQ is pushing for the outside actually. They have Lancelot in focus here. Lancelot being isolated here, offering a weak spot for RISQ to push onto. Great move here by them and good to see that situation here. Really well played here by RISQ so far, and they have Lancelot in focus. Lancelot currently in a 2v1 situation, but also Shugu and Mugu is getting focus here. Lost all of its hit points in a matter of seconds already. As Lancelot is still surviving a little bit, but not for long anymore. If the 60TP is able to get the shot in, it is actually the IS-4 from behind to get the kill shot. But Lancelot was just the first one to get killed, while RN already lost 2 tanks here. Or RISQ lost 2 tanks, sorry. And a third one. As there is still a main fight going on over here. RN being pretty close together, having good position still. Having a tank more on the field. a few more hit points as well. 60 TP in focus, about to get shot down here by Ploy Kickshaw, who is potentially, nope, it is Radu here with the E6 YOLOing in from behind. E6's mobility really paying out here, as he is able to just circle around the map, getting into the back of Juicy, also having the kill shot quite soon. There goes the next one. Only 2 guys standing left here for RISQ, as Radu just circling around them. That's just absolutely awesome gameplay here. And it is only Bifrost left alive. RISQ had a really good option of counter pushing into the desert area here, yet RM did a good job here of just countering that immediately. And there is Bifrost getting lit up. What a carnage here. Now let's stick to the scene for a second to still see the result. Radu here also playing a crucial role with his push into the back. With his move in the E6 here, really love to see this. Just a really good crossfire, great move, great use of the mobility of that E6. And it was really hard to counter with the slower tanks of the RISQ. So that was the second win to RN, and they are really looking strong here. RN just playing a bit more mobile, daring to go for some riskier lineups, but at the same time having, I mean, those tanks. I also love to play mediums and fast tanks like E6 in random games. They're riskier to play, but they offer some kind of DPM and mobility advantage. And RN is really able to make absolutely gorgeous use of the mobility and the potential of their tanks here, showing some really great performance so far against a very slow and heavy RISQ lineups here on the first 2 games. But also RISQ is going for an E6 potentially on this game. Yep, they are thinking that tank just won 2 games in a row. We also need one on the lineup. So RISQ now with an LT Type 71's E6, RN still having double E6 and FE215B. So it will be RN with the DPM advantage again. FE215B can also be very nasty against Type 71s, as it can just HE the sides of the types and easily penetrate them frontally. At the same time, the FE doesn't have any armor.
Time to roll out.
So let's set up here as we are on Molendyke now. Best of 7 by the way again. So RN just needs 2 more wins right now. Silver about to go for the first spots here. And so far not getting any spots in. Still no spots. The E6s with that awesome camo value just remaining unspotted here. The whole RN team is still unspotted until now. Now the Type 71s are getting spotted. Kran moving into the middle as well here. And RISQ is having a lot of tanks over here. RISQ does have the advantage on this side. It might already decide over the outcome of the game if RISQ is going for a push and good focus fire here. But the focus is kind of splitting up. Everyone getting focused right now. It's not looking too great so far. They got to focus on one tank or the other. Lancelot might be an option here for RISQ to push onto, but they're hesitating. They're falling back rather, not really gaining anything by that. They will have to push in here, get Lancelot out of the fight, as he's in the middle of everything, low on hit points, high DPM tank. But it is Smurd here, getting killed first. Lancelot now in focus, down to 8 hit points, there he goes. But at the same time, RISQ already lost 2 tanks. Radu now pushing into the back of RISQ here, overcommitting a little bit, setting himself up for crossfire from lots of different angles, and getting shot down by the LT. There goes Radu here, overcommitting really quite hard on this game. But still, RN is just having a huge advantage right now. Absolutely dominated this game here. RISQ really struggling, failing to push in. And RN just sealing the deal here by pulling around the RISQ team and getting in a crossfire. I think RISQ really had the chance of pushing forwards here. They had more tanks available, yet were simply too afraid to push in, which cost them a lot of an advantage. They did not focus fire, they just all tried to put out some shots without really wanting to go in. It allowed them to put out some damage, but the RN team was just far better at rotating out there, getting to the side, getting in the crossfire then, and really diminishing the hit points and tanks of the RISQ team. Third win to RN. And it looks like RN currently is just dominant as hell. RISQ is really not keeping up with them so far. So it will be interesting how this is going to work out. I don't see RISQ winning any more games, maybe one more game, but that will be it. And if RN keeps playing like that, then they will easily get the first place here. As also the P1 team in the lower bracket. And it's still, if as it is looking right now, it will be P1 versus RISQ then in the lower bracket finals tomorrow on the first game before the grand finals. Both of these teams being a lot slower than RN here, which is really going hard with the fast lineups. Really doing a superb job at that here. Let's see how they're going to play out the next game. It will be Molenbeek again, starting in just a few seconds. This might already be last one here. We've got some crans now on side of RN, some IS-4, E6 is still T100 type. The E6s really seem to work out for RN and they really seem to love that tank. LT's going to meet each other in the middle here, not trading any shots here. RN this time heading towards base C and really being rather passive here compared to the last games, as RISQ is just moving towards base A with everything once more, just like on the last game. But this time they are spotted and they don't have anything to push onto. They will be able to get the cap advantage potentially here. Yep, they are in the cap. Kran might have shots. Nope. The cheese man just trying a blind shot here. But Ploy Kickshaw is just pulling out of that. Not allowing for any shots. The World overcommitting a little bit as he tried to put out some shots to that side. And it is a little bit of a cap advantage to RISQ right now. But RN just keeps on pushing here deep into the enemy spawn. And RISQ is not prepared for that just yet. They don't have the spots. Bifrost going to be surprised here to find Lancelot right in front of him. Taking 2 shots already. And it is a gun advantage over here. But also Juicy is pushing in here. If RISQ is just counter pushing Lancelot immediately, they might take out one tank for free basically. They will have to be quick and they are onto it. The Type 71 Bifrost here lost a lot of hit points, but RISQ really has to go in now. They cannot afford to stay because there will be the E6 right behind once more. going for the crossfire, and it was F Silver here getting shot down at the start already. RISQ hesitating too much here. Wadu now in focus, but in a fairly good position still, as RISQ is really struggling to push out here, having lost one tank already, having lost 2k hit points compared to RN. Sticky now also out of the fight. Bifrost here also low on hit points. Wadu still alive, covered by his teammates from behind now. He's actually getting taken out, but it is not looking good here for RISQ on this game. Although they are able to kill Lancelot here on the next shot, they are still down a tank, and Bifrost is still a one shot over there. They are not having the tanks, they're not having the hit points, they're not having the positions, and it looks like it will be the 4th win to RN here. RISQ just being too slow to counter this team that is circling around the map like if it was nothing here. And it is still a little bit of a standoff for now. The Ice Force still baiting here, pushing in right behind. He does have the hit points to afford to do so. Puts out some crossfire into the Cheeseman. Also the LT is still over there on a B cap to crossfire. And there is nothing that RISQ can do about it. There goes the Cheeseman, and it is still Juicy and the Type 71 over there, who are still trying to put out some shots but not having any chance anymore. Super aggressive play here by RN once more, and RISQ, they had an option of countering that but just were too afraid to move in, did not go for the push, and just get counter pushed immediately. Really well played by RN. Love to see those games here. Really good job. Well, I think, yeah, RN is at a level that is really not looking like there was any competitor right now from the games that I've seen so far. This is looking really good for them here. Even the lowest damage did 1.8k. So really well played here by all of those guys, and RISQ will head to the lower bracket finals then. So that's it for the live games today. That's it for the live battles. Congratulations to RN. Really love to see those games. We'll still go for a quick analysis of those games once more. Although we're done with the live battles for now. The next games will be tomorrow then, with the lower bracket finals, where we will see RISQ versus P1. Same time as today. And then there will be the grand finals, of course. Lower bracket finals, I think it's also best of 7, and then the grand finals best of 9. So it's going to be a bit longer than... It's looking like RN, well, RN definitely is in the grand finals, but... Well, it might still be P1 or RISQ once more against them. And RISQ did not seem ready to fight the RN team here. If it is P1, maybe. I don't know. After all, P1 was also beating Team ID quite decisively. And Team ID managed to win 3 games against RN as well, although losing them in the end. I've not seen the first game of RN versus ID, which turned out to be a 4-3. But it seems like RN is not completely undefeatable. So there is still a chance of some closer grand finals. I would love to see some closer games, to be honest. Although I really like to see such great gameplay as RN has shown here. Would be nice to just have some slightly closer games for the end still. Okay, let's just get to the analysis part. just a short analysis still, for those who are interested in seeing how this turned out to be such an awesome win here. Okay, let me just quickly find the first game. Which one was it? It was Desert Sands. And we've got the camera back. Good. No. Okay, I was playing already. Super important move here by the RN team to go for the quick spot here. You can clearly see that Sheridan is just spotting up everything through the rails, even to the train tracks there. Got all the spots in. Although also a lot of guys here on the side of RN got spotted, but just not quite as much. And RISQ really got smacked there as they tried to push over. RISQ had a gun advantage, or had a hit point advantage at the start because of having the heavier lineup. Yet that quickly turned around as RN was just delivering those spots here. But still, RN also really lost a lot of hit points here, as they decided to go for the push already, which was a little bit of a risky thing to do, to be honest, because if we're seeing this on a mini-map here, there's some guys over there, the Sheridan over there, 3 guys pushing in over there, those guys here. Those guys, that was a beautiful arrow. But those guys are just going in for a 3 versus 3. While RISQ has these tanks right behind to support. And those guys over there a bit further away actually. So this is really an ambitious push here. That's got to be said. Really ambitious push here with 3 versus 3 and the RISQ just having tanks available to counter push immediately. So Trash actually was the first one to get taken out. Okay. And still, surprisingly, RN managed to win this. Despite having... Look at this situation right now. Hit points actually surprisingly even, but 2 one-shots on the field for RN right now. Although Sticky still in focus here. There was a 2-tank advantage for RISQ. How did they lose this? How? Like right now, RISQ actually has all the tanks here. Of course, Sticky is a 1-shot. But just looking at it, here we've got RISQ being close together, then 1 tank out on the other side. But also it's the same for RN. And the Sheridan in the desert can surely not 1v1 a full heavy tank. So I'm really surprised to see this one to turn out as a win for RN still. Of course there are some 1-shots, but that's just evening out the guns basically. If Bifrost is getting killed here. There's still 2 1-shots on the field right now, and as there's only 1 inside here, the other one is in the desert then. Yeah, there was a guy that lost a lot of hit points early on already. So, yep, there he goes. I'm also losing hit points here on that E6 still. How? Wait, okay, now I think there is... The hit points are suddenly in favor of RN. I think a bit of a problem here for RISQ is really that they pushed into the middle. Because now they are here in the B-cap area. Where there are the red tanks just in the desert still, cross-firing like that. And also they managed to take some safer positions over here. So they can crossfire like that. You can see it on a map like this. Blue tanks get dragged into the middle here. So that was just not working out too well here. But after all, it was a lot about the focus fire here. Really interesting to see RN still winning this like that. Although, yeah, right now it is quite clear. Like, here you can really see it nicely. RISQ being in the middle. At the same time, RN managed to take positions over there and over there. Able to crossfire from 2 different or 3 different angles. On other streams I've also shown that quite a lot. If there is such kind of triangle with the enemies just being in the middle, then there is basically nowhere to hide for you. You can angle to one side, maybe to 2 sides if they are like just angling towards 2 tanks that are close together. You could do, but you cannot angle towards 3 different sides. And whenever there is this kind of triangle, as I'm seeing on the analysis part quite often, it is just impossible to turn around then. Unless if there is the option of just counter pushing, like in this situation, just breaking out by killing those 2 tanks, but there are not the tanks available to do so, or just breaking out like this to kill those 2 tanks here. There needs to be like the breakout to just regain the map control, but it is not happening here, because if RISQ is deciding to push out of this, as they're trying to do, they're trying to avoid the very healthy Type 71s there, then there are double Type 71s just farming them from behind. That's exactly what happened here. RISQ was going for a very desperate push here. And yeah, that was just not working out. Still in the middle of all the tanks of RN here. So let's get to the next battle already. Here RISQ was going for an interesting strategy of just sending out the 1 Type 71 into some very isolated position far in the back here. Just look at the split here right now. He's actually still moving into the deep corner there. But if you're just checking out the minimap, there's 1 tank here and all other 6 tanks over there, very far away. Yet, just in case you're struggling to get a point here, if RN decided to push forwards onto this guy, it would lead to them being in this little part of the map. You can better see it on a minimap like that. While the RISQ team would at the same time be able to crossfire from over here like that, and they would be able to get into the middle, regain the cap control of base A, and they would have much better positioning to just trap the red team here in a very small pocket. Was not happening. Sticky did not turn out to be the best bait here in this situation. Really love to see this move here by RN also. They just immediately took control of the spawn area here and just managed to gain a lot of map control in a similar way that RISQ did. Like this, both teams still managed to keep the map control, keep up the crossfire, did not give one or the other side to the enemy. There was of course a cap advantage to RISQ here. Yeah. But Juicy got too aggressive. Juicy misplayed here in this situation. Oh, we've seen that earlier already. He got into a position too risky because he could get crossfire like that and like that. So that was not exactly working out for him here. As it was really just a bit too aggressive. He lost some hit points early on, which was not necessary, to be honest. still, really good option here for RISQ to push in. And they have just, yeah, spotted this with an eagle's eye. One tank being isolated here in the front. That they could push on to. The RN team was quite split here with all those tanks in different locations. It's hard to see like them really working together like this. Of course, they can still support, and like this, there was a good option for RISQ to push in, but they did not exactly manage to do so. In part due to the reason that there is still like this tank quite far away, which is just completely getting ignored. While those two red tanks here, they are just much closer to the fight. Those guys are also still far away, just as this guy over there. But the one guy is just not important, as he can just support a little bit still. But 3 tanks from RISQ are out of the fight, while there's only 1 tank out of the fight on side of RN at this point. Because what RN is doing here is to just counter push this area here with 5 tanks, as they are about to lose 1 and do have the option of killing 3 there. The others, of course, are still able to support from a distance. Oh, it's still a bit of a tricky situation here. Let's just skip forwards a little bit to see what's happening here. Did you see that? Shugu and Mugu here just pushing into the middle. Oh, yeah, okay, there was a bit of a misplay there. Yeah, just look at him getting deleted there for... he was not even able to put out any shot into Lancelot. He did not put out a single shot into the tank that RISQ tried to focus. And he died for that. Completely. Annihilated. Just gone. And that was already a huge advantage to RN. Now not even too many hit points ahead. But like that, they just quickly gained the gun advantage, have far more DPM on the battlefield now. Yeah, that was just about the DPM advantage now. Oh, this... Of course, the crossfire of RN was potentially a bit better. But RISQ had a really good opportunity of pushing in there. I don't want to say it was all up to Shugu to lose this. But it definitely played a big role here that this guy just got deleted very quickly and did not really gain any kind of advantage to RN here. It did not, RISQ, it did not cost RN any time to just kill Shugu and Mugu in the middle. They needed to go there anyway to just support their teammate. So it was basically very free kill here. And that was already it for this game. Gun advantage, the rest is just farming. So let's get to Molendyke. Oh, crap, what did I do? What did I do? I think I just... I pressed 0. Well, on this game here, we did have RISQ moving into or towards the heavy side with 5 tanks, having 1 light tank in the middle, having 1 heavy tank camping still. Okay, so they did not really have an advantage as RN moved there with 6 tanks. Although some being a bit behind them. Still, there are like 5 tanks in the front here. Only 4 tanks. Let's take the other color. 4 tanks from RN. Of course, it was a risky thing to do, but I really think that RISQ just needed to push forwards. They had the tanks available to just get aggressive over here, send in the others like that, and they could just focus for example, the E6, because the E6 just has so much DPM and is such an easy target. It does have no armor, no hit points, does have basically the same hit points as Type 71, as you can see here. But a Type 71 has a lot of armor. E6 can easily get penetrated with AP or even HE from the rear. So if RISQ decided to just go into the E6 here, they would have maybe lost some hit points, but they could have gained an advantage. They could have also then covered the side here still. I think that definitely was an option for them. But they sent in, just a look at the light tank over here on the minimap. Light tank going very far away. While there is a 7 versus 6 on the on the med side here, on the A side right now. And we can see how greatly the RN team is going for the map control here. Just controlling the fight by just pulling around the RISQ team, allowing them to crossfire from so many different angles. So that RISQ is not able to cover anywhere. If we're just skipping forwards a little bit, we can clearly see how that's working out here. Although Vadu is getting a bit too aggressive there, it's still really nice crossfire. And RISQ just getting deleted. Now F-Silver is arriving in the fight. He was still very far away before that because he just flanked around for that long, and it just only now he arrived in the fight as his team is already down 2 tanks. They were still able to put out some damage here, but it was just far too late. If you're seeing the hit points here, it was already decided a long time ago. So we've got only one more game here. With RISQ getting the quick advantage of the A-cap. Getting surprised here by the push of RN, and actually RN is getting a bit aggressive here on a push. If you're just checking the minimap out, you're seeing that there are 3 tanks very isolated over here, 2 tanks over there, 1 tank over there, 1 tank over there. If RISQ decided to counter push in this area, just like that, over here, onto Lancelot, what were the others going to do? Just imagine this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks available. 3 tanks are still on A. Those just need a bit of time, so it's alright. But there's still 4v3 over here. So if RISQ was getting aggressive, what were those guys going to do about it? They cannot shoot above this thing here. This is a huge hill. So RISQ would have a huge advantage here, and actually in that regard misplaying a little bit in my opinion. By getting that aggressive while still being that split. They did now also have the tanks in the middle, but they arrived quite late, and they would have needed a long time to get back into the corner here to support. But RISQ just hesitated and did not want to push in. They did not push in, they did not push in just yet, and now they go for the push. But at this point, we already see how the RN team is gaining control of base A. They are already moving in from behind here with the E6 getting into the back. So that means that RISQ is just in a very small pocket again, while RN is just having all the area around here, crossfiring from all possible angles here, just deleting RISQ off the field. Also, I really love the position of Radu here, was taking some great hull down position. Lancelot was pulling out of that situation here, allowing him to stay alive for quite a long time, put out a lot of damage. F-Silver also misplaying a little bit here maybe by just staying in that situation and waiting for his teammate. Of course, he cannot push in first with the light tank, but RN just reacting as quickly as they did. they just got the LT out of the fight quite easily here. And now we can really see it on the minimap. I'll just wait a second still. Yeah, like that. Like that is a perfect time to pause for a moment here. RN's team being set up like this. Then there's a RISQ team. In this part only, and just seeing it like this from above on a minimap, yeah, Wadu seems to be quite isolated, but Wadu is on a hill there. So if RISQ is trying to push up like this or like this, they first of all need a lot of time, and they get crossfired from behind like that. The whole RN team was there to cover that already. So really well played by RN. Really loved that positional play, the way that they created the crossfire and just moved around the map. Really dynamic gameplay. Not hesitating for too long to make use of any advantage they could see, as we can also really clearly see in this situation again, where they are just pushing in, having shots onto, yeah, we can even see the shots still here. There are shots going into this guy from over there, And RISQ really having some very isolated targets here that are pushing forwards, and RN just being there with everyone. Of course, this guy here is getting focused, but that didn't really matter. Well, I really love those games of RN. Can only say that once more. And that's already it, guys. Already. I've been streaming for 3 hours and 20 minutes. Still 50, 70, I don't know, YouTube is lying to me. 50 people still watching here. Nice to see some people still interested in the analysis. Or maybe you're just here for the keys. Could also be the case. Okay, guys and girls, that's it for today. And I need a second breakfast, or like it's time for lunch now actually. Getting hungry again after 3.5 hours of streaming. Well, hope you enjoyed, even those guys that are just potentially watching for the keys only. I hope I could get you to be a little bit closer to the tournament scene, maybe understand a bit more about it. If there are people who actually just want it for the keys and sticked around and really watch the analysis part, then okay, that's good. I don't know if there's anyone doing so. Well, I would be very happy to see that, or I really don't know about it, but yeah, it would be nice to just have some people see that part as well, being interested in that. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm starting to talk gibberish here. So that's it for today. I will see you back tomorrow then on the grand final stream of the Asian server, starting with a lower bracket final of P1 versus RISQ. Then the winner of that match is going to fight RN RN on the grand finals then. All right. Have a good day, everyone. See you back then tomorrow, and yeah, see you back. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. Smack that like button still if you enjoyed, and maybe see you on Twitch. Link in the description down below. See ya.